All right, hello, good day. This is your coach, Klassik King L here, once back again. So I recently had uh some of my notebooks lost. Not going to get into that, but I'm gonna keep going with my lectures here and some of my philosophies and things that I've learned. Um, Today we're going to talk about knowledge of self, in which for me is always a constant battle, is always a constant learning um, when it comes to myself. Alrighty. So I'm gonna give you some pointers, some things maybe could help some people understand the knowledge of, the universe and yourself and what that what it means. Alrighty. So knowledge of self. We're gonna start with the ego. Alrighty. As I've talked about in some of my other lectures, I discussed healthy narcissism, which is loving yourself, giving yourself uh, dignity, respect, and honor, cherishing yourself. Doesn't mean that you have a big head, doesn't mean that you think you're better than anybody, but you have an ego, which is your higher self. Okay. It means you think highly of yourself, it means you care for yourself, you love yourself. Okay. Ego is also connected to the word geo, which means earth. Okay. Which the earth is above the murky waters. The murky waters are the dark waters in which we come out of. Okay. Our lower selves, which is the lower ego. Okay. That's when we don't think highly of ourselves. Okay. That's when we have poor constructs in our lifestyles. That's when we um, get sucked into cycle, destructive cycles after cycles. We're living in our lower self, okay? And that's in the murky waters, the dark, murky waters, okay? So we must come out of our lower self, work our way up into our higher self, okay? To where we get to the earth, okay? Where the sun is shining, where the light is, alrighty? There's a quote that I came across that I always like, and it goes, the rougher the waters, the stronger the swimmer. So for me, the rougher the murky waters are, the rougher the sea is, coming up out of that sea is going to be so much more better for me, because the harder I had to work to get up out is going to make me even stronger when I get to the beach, when I get to the earth. Okay. And this is also a constant cycle. We go we go up and we come back in to face new battles, and we must come back up again. So I'll discuss that cycles. Right here is the pyramid. Okay. The God codes 3, 6, and 9. Okay. 45-degree angles. Okay. 4 or 5 is 9. 9 is the highest number. 45 times 3 is 135, which breaks down into 9. Alrighty. So that's all 3 corners. And these represent cycles that we must go across as well. Now, when it comes down to the cycles, let me explain this. We have day and we have night. There's always opposites. Whenever something is created, it is a law of the universe that an opposite is automatically created to balance out what was created. Okay. If you create something good, just know that somewhere in the universe, somewhere in the world, there's an opposite of what you created. Even if you didn't create it, just to balance out your creation, there always has to be an opposite. Okay. It's it's the balance of the universe. Alrighty. So we start here. All right. This is the dawn. We come to the top. We come to the sunset. Then we come to the moon, which is the dark phase, and then we come back up again to the sunrise. Okay, this is a 360 cycle. Okay, starting from the sunrise, you have 90 degrees. To the sunset is 180 degrees. To the top of the moon is 270, and then back up is 360. All of these, 90 degrees is 9, 180 is 9, 270 is 9, 360 is 9. Okay, 9. It's the highest number. Alrighty. So what this is 369s. Now we start at 1, alrighty, and we have three cycles in each level that we must do. Okay. So we go 1, that's 1 cycle. 2, that's 2 cycles. 3, okay, that's 3 cycles to get to 3, which from my research, from what I've learned, is that that's a new level up. That's a new level of gaining some type of new insight, new abilities in you, whether it's creative, whether it's technical, whether it's maternal, um, it could be any type of abilities, but you must go through cycles in order to elevate in your life. Life is all about cycles, okay? And 3 cycles in each level, that means you go 360 degrees 3 times, okay? 3 times 360 is 1080, which breaks down into 9 once again, okay? 9 is always the highest level, right? Then you start back over, okay? But it doesn't mean, because you start back over, it doesn't mean that you lost everything that you gained. You're just going back in the cycle again to gain more knowledge, to gain more insight, okay? To level up even more, okay? So just because you start over again doesn't mean that you're starting over from zero again. You're starting over from what they would say, a higher qualified zero, okay? Because you can start at a 0 from right here, right? Or you can start at a 0 from up here. That makes a big difference from somebody starting from here and from somebody starting from here again. Okay. So each time you start over, you're starting over from a higher level, but you must work through these levels again to get higher and higher. You get it? Alrighty. So we have our birth, we have our growth, we have our decline, and then we have our rise back into a rebirth. Then once again, we start to cycle over. We have a growth, a decline, we have a rise, a rebirth. Okay. So the birthing stage is you beginning anew again with new knowledge, a new outlook on life, new beginnings. Then you have your growth, you're learning, you're growing, you're getting more insight into whatever it is that you need in your life. Things seem to be on the up and up, and pretty much looking good for you. And we must go through the decline. This is where we must be go through trials. This is where we must be what they say put through the fire. All right. This is our valley that we go through in life. This is our valley. Okay. We have to hit rock bottom, or some people don't necessarily have to hit rock bottom. Some people's rock bottoms are different from person to person. Well, what one rock bottom looks to one person may look different to another person. Alrighty. And then once we get through our decline, we find ourselves again, we come back up the mountain, come back up. Okay. Now that's not to say that it's going to be easy, because it's always easy to come down a mountain than it is to go up a mountain. Alrighty. For the most part, right? But it's the rise. It's the rise where you regain your strength all over again. Okay. And regain more knowledge and insight over this whole cycle that you've been through. Okay. So this concept right here, this philosophy that I came up with, it's just my philosophy. I don't know if I've seen this anywhere. I don't believe I've seen this anywhere, but upon me just thinking and contemplating on cycles, or contemplating on the elements, I came up with these 4 elements and what they may represent. Okay, water. We're birthed from the water, right? That's our birth. The earth is where we grow from. Plants, the seeds that are dropped into the earth, they grow, right? And then fire. Fire, what does fire bring? Destruction, death, right? That's our decline. Death doesn't necessarily mean a physical death. You know what I mean? It could mean a spiritual death. It can mean yeah, it can more so mean a spiritual death or a death to the ego, a death to your old ways, a death to your old cycles. Doesn't necessarily mean a physical death, but you must be put through the fire, okay, which the burns off, which purifies you, okay? That's what fire does is purifies and break things down into ashes so that way um, the land the land can be fertilized even more, okay? And then the air, once we go through our decline, air, what does air do? Air rises, right? So water is our birth, earth is our growth, fire is our decline, and air is our rise. All right, you guys understand that concept? Like I said, this concept right here, I haven't seen anywhere. Um, I kind of just was just pondering things and kind of just came up with this. I want to say myself, but there's nothing new underneath the sun. So I'm sure this shows up somewhere in some type of philosophy, some type of knowledge book. And if it is, please point it out to me so that way I'm aware of where um where this knowledge came from, because I'm sure it's just not my own. Alrighty. Everything that we could possibly think of is already in existence. It already exists. It takes for us to actually observe things, observe it, for us to understand it, to us to grab the concept. Okay. Everything, every invention that we can ever think of is already here, is already there. We in our own in our own minds, in our own intuition, in our own contemplation, have to reach up and grab these ideas and think. If you don't think about any of these things, you won't gain any like knowledge. You won't be able to put puzzle pieces together, even with informal informal training. Alrighty. So let's go over this a quick again. Your higher self is your ego, which means you respect yourself, your self-love. Okay. You're sitting above the murky waters. That's the darkness. You're sitting above the darkness. You're sitting on the earth where the light is shining. And in the murky waters, below the murky waters, you have your lower self. Okay. You're in the darkness. Okay. We each have to go through these cycles. Okay. Come up out of the murky waters to our higher self. Alrighty. 3, 6, 9, the pyramid, okay? That's our left eye, right eye, and our third eye. All righty. The cycles. We rise, birth, we rise, we grow, we decline. Well, I'm sorry. We birth, we grow, we decline, and then we rise back up again. Okay. These are 360-degree cycles, circles. Alrighty, and we must go in these cycles in order to elevate to the next levels. Okay. Now once we get to 9, you can even go back again, you know, and you keep doing this. And like I said, just because you go back down and start at 0 or start over again, it's not necessarily a starting over, because you regain or you hold on to the knowledge that you've gained through going through these levels. Okay. So let's say you went through these levels and you got to 9 and you decide to put yourself back in the game, in the system, um, back down into the murky waters again. Doesn't mean that you're starting over from 0 again. You're starting over from, like I said, from a higher qualified 0. You have more knowledge than what you first came out of. So things won't always be the same when you go back in. Okay, don't expect it to be easier because you gain more knowledge on the other side of things, and then you drop right back down into the murky waters again. Okay, things aren't going to be the same when you drop back down again. Okay, that's going to be way too easy, right? That's not how you grow, just by going through the same level that you just beat, right? You must drop back down and face new um new I don't want to say enemies, but like you have to go through new trials. Okay, it's a cycle, and uh every cycle that you go through, you're gonna have new trials um to get through. But all in all, it's gonna make your higher self stronger. It's gonna build up your confidence in yourself to 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 do whatever you need to do in life to make yourself stronger mentally, physically, emotionally. We all have to go through this. We all go through the cycles. I know I've been going through my own cycles. Alrighty. Um, so we have our birth, growth, decline. We rise back up to our birth again, and then we go through our growth again and decline. It's always a cycle. Remember that. Until we leave this earth, we're going to go through cycles. All right. And it's a positive thing. Um, there are such things as negative cycles, like we're having to go through the same lessons over and over again. I know I've had to go through my own negative cycles, learning the same lessons over and over and over again. But that also, to each their own. We all have cycles that we have to repeat sometimes. We're not perfect. Um, Everybody has a level that they may get stuck on, or a level that may take a little longer for them to get through. Okay, but that doesn't make them unqualified. It doesn't make them uneducated. It doesn't make them any less capable. It doesn't make them any less what I'm looking for. It doesn't make them any less of a person because they're having trouble on a specific level. Alrighty, because some people can have trouble on a level, right? And then once they get through that, they just shoot past everybody else that they who thought that they were ahead of you. So just because you're having trouble on a level, don't get discouraged. All righty. If you get stuck on three and everybody's at, let's say, 7 or 8, all righty, you could get stuck on three, but then zoom right on past the rest of the levels. And then everybody else looking at you like, damn, he done passed me. And he was laughing at you because you were stuck on a specific level. But yet little do they know that it was this level where you need to go through the toughest battle of your own, where sometimes even they may not even know that you've already been through several cycles. Okay. They may be on their first cycle, and you could be on your fourth cycle, but at the lower level. Okay. And they're thinking just because they're at a higher level on their on a lower cycle that they're ahead of you. And it's like, no, I'm past you. I'm just starting my cycle over again. So it's pretty much like you're lapping them almost, you know? But I know that's a whole nother concept. If those were higher levels of thinking, if you can understand that concept that I just said, with like the three cycles, and you could be on your third cycle, but at a four at a three, right? And then somebody could be on their first cycle and at a 9 or a 6. You being on your third cycle at a 3, you're further along than somebody on their first cycle at a 9. Okay, so don't allow that to allow um people to get you discouraged. All righty, because you could ultimately be further along than they are. All right. And once again, water, birth, earth, growth, fire, decline, air is rise. Now, like I said, this piece right here, I'm not going to claim that this is like something that's factual or actual knowledge. This is my kind of my what I believe is my own philosophy, but like I said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. So I'm sure this philosophy is somewhere in some book, but I have not come across it. This is something that I've recently just pondered the elements of the universe here and kind of put them into place into cycles. All right, I'll explain that water is where we come out of, where we're birthed out of. The earth is where we grow, we come out of the ground. Fire is the decline. We must be put through the fire like gold, right? And then the air is where we rise back up again. All righty. All right. So this has been another lesson. Knowledge of self. Like I said, this knowledge of self is a constant battle. I'm always going through it myself. Um, it's not always a easy journey, because we have to be put through things to learn and to grow. And I'm very grateful for everything that I've went through because I've definitely grown. you know. And most importantly, about going through your cycles, about going through finding yourself and knowledge of growing in the cycles of life. Not necessarily a physical death, but it could be a death to your spiritual death to where you regrow again. It can be a death to your ego, a death to yourself, to your old self. Okay, so death doesn't necessarily have to be a physical thing. Always remember that death doesn't have to be a physical thing, and death isn't always a negative thing. Okay, because within death we find new life. Okay, always remember that within death we find new life. All right. Um, like I said, that doesn't mean it's physical. Doesn't mean you have to die physically, you know. But we must die to ourselves, die to the outside world, to be reborn within ourselves, within our being, our living being that we already are, to find a new paradigm to live in. All righty. Um, it's not always easy. Make sure you do your affirmations, you manifest. If you pray. Did I say meditate already? Yeah, meditate. Make sure you fill up your energy cup, fill up your spiritual cup. Because one of the things that I've recently learned in my cycles is that I've given away a lot of my energy to where I'm left drained, physically, emotionally, mentally. And I just found myself just like struggling to kind of regain that energy back because I've just given so much, and yeah, it's all part of the journey, it's all part of the lesson. But because I went through it, I can now teach it to other people so that way you don't have to go through it. Okay. As you're going through this journey, if you're a giver, if you're an empath like me, I'm very sensitive to energy. I'm very sensitive to the world around me. Like I just sense things. My intuition is very high. Even when I don't want it to be, it's just sometimes it's hard for me to turn it off. It's just, it doesn't mean that I always make the smartest decisions. Alrighty, but my intuition has always been pretty high. Um, but yeah, always remember that if you're a giver, that you always have to make sure that you're giving back to yourself. Take time out for yourself, replenish your own energy, replenish your spirit, because if not, you're going to be left drained. You're going to be left drained. Okay. Always remember it's a give and take. Don't be afraid to take sometimes. Alrighty. Especially if you're always giving. Doesn't mean that you have to necessarily steal, but allow people to help you, allow people to give you things, allow people to help you to replenish your energy. So that way you're just not like me, where my energy cup was just totally drained. It's been taking me a little while to kind of build myself back up again, but every day is a battle, a step forward. There's a saying that I like, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But no matter what, keep moving, keep moving. But all right, this has been a lesson on knowledge of self. I hope everybody was able to grab those concepts. If you have any questions, comments, please like, subscribe, shoot me some questions. I'm always down to talk about these things. Um, I'm the type of person that I think I do good with creating a bridge between like advanced levels of thought and people who want to gain that type of knowledge or understand that, but some people just don't understand like high levels of thought or high levels of philosophy. And I think that I could be a pretty good bridge between helping people that have no clue on what this is or what like some people talk about when they talk about knowledge itself and things when it comes to the universe and cycles and numerology and all of that. I think I can do pretty well in trying to explain to you so that way you can understand if you're not really savvy on these type things, but you want to elevate. I think I'm a pretty good bridge between that, so that way you can understand. Um, but yeah, thank you for tuning in. As always, be safe, have fun, and always, always be yourself. Love y'all.